Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for August 7th of 2023, and currently we have a moderate threat for southern Pennsylvania into northeastern Tennessee, spanning across western Virginia and eastern West Virginia and central Maryland as well, including the Washington, D.C. region. We could see the possibility of significant severe weather today, and I will be sure to break it down, and I may even go live later today. It really all depends. We also do have another slight risk for eastern Colorado into western Kansas and western Nebraska. I probably won't cover too much, if not at all, in today's forecast. But do keep in mind that slight risk if you live in that particular location. And then as for our tornado threat, we do have a 10% tornado threat with a 5% around that and a 2% around that. So we have a large area for the possibility of multiple tornadoes. And then for the slight risk region, you can see that we do have a 5% tornado threat. So we could also see the possibility of a few tornadoes across that region as well. And then as for our wind threat, we do have a 45% damaging wind threat with the possibility of destructive outflow gusts upwards of 70 knots or even higher for this moderate threat region. We could again see the possibility of destructive outflow gusts in this region. And then for the slight risk region, we do have a 15% wind threat. And then as for hail, we do have a 15% for that moderate threat area. And then as for the slight risk region further out west, you can see that we do have a 15% with the possibility of large hail over towards that region as well. Taking a look at our radar Omega model, starting off with our 500 millibars like we usually do, I am going to be mainly focusing on this moderate threat region. I probably will not cover this slight risk region at all in today's forecast. However, it is going to be triggered by the strong jet stream that is moving through the region. So again, we could see the possibility of a few tornadoes, some large hail, and the possibility of some damaging winds in that region. So do keep that in mind if you live in this particular location. However, for weather models, I am primarily going to be focusing on this moderate threat for today. So taking a look at our 500 millibars for this area, you can see that we do have that low pressure system that we've been focusing on for the past 3 days. It is situated over the Michigan Lake area, somewhere in this vicinity. And you can see that we do have a very large exit region for that trough and very large amounts of defluency. So that low pressure system's right here. We have southwesterly flow moving up across the New England corridor and then across the southern reaches of the United States. We do have mid-level flow that is almost completely zonal. So the spreading of those wind vectors is what we call defluence, and that creates a large area of a void in the atmosphere because the winds are spreading apart, and that again creates a void in the atmosphere. And the atmosphere doesn't like voids, so what it does is it tries to fill in that area with air. So what that does is that creates an area of large amounts of lift. So that's the main triggering factor for that moderate threat region. Is all that lift up in there because of the spreading of the wind vectors. And because of the spreading of the wind vectors and how this trough does change direction across the New England corridor, we are expected to see the possibility of multiple tornadoes across this region as well, and even the possibility of small to medium hail with elongated photographs with mid-level flow in the, I think, 50 knots. Taking a look at our dew points, you can see for the entire enhanced risk, moderate threat, slight risk, marginal threat region, the entire area that we could see strong severe weather for, we have very, very strong dew points that are in the upper 60s, as well as the mid and possibly even the upper 70s further down south. But widespread 70 dew points could definitely allow for the possibility of very, very strong instability for this entire region in particular. Taking a look at our instability, you can see that we are expected to have fairly strong instability for the entire region. Over in the moderate threat region, you can see that we are expected to see CAPE values that are more so in the upper 2000s and possibly getting into the low 3000s as well. That is going to allow for the possibility of those destructive outflow gusts upwards of 70 knots or even higher. That does translate into 80 mile per hour wind gusts or higher. And further down south, we are expected to see even stronger instability across Georgia. We could see Cape values that reach the mid 4,000s, and then even across Tennessee, Cape values that reach the mid and upper 3,000s, and maybe even low 4,000s as well. So for this entire region, we could see the possibility of widespread instability and the possibility of multiple tornadoes if we have strong directional shear, which we most definitely will, and the possibility of destructive outflow gusts, again upwards of 80 miles per hour or higher, and the possibility of small to medium hail and maybe even some small large hail. Taking a look at our energy helicity index, focusing on the entire region for tornadoes, you can see that we do have widespread energy helicity index readings, and then across the 10% tornado threat region, and then more so further down south across Tennessee, you can see very strong energy helicity index readings in the 5s and even up to the 9s in this small region. So again, we could definitely see the possibility of multiple tornadoes for this entire region. Again, we are expected to see very strong shear and very strong instability, so very strong energy helicity index readings are definitely not out of the question. And as we see here, we could definitely see the possibility of, again, multiple tornadoes for this entire area. Taking a look at SIGTOR, you can see that we do expect this entire area to see the possibility of tornadoes, even the possibility of multiple tornadoes. Like I was saying, across Kentucky, West Virginia, parts of Western Virginia, and Tennessee, you can see very, very strong SIGTOR readings across Tennessee mainly and Kentucky. This could be a little bit of contamination. However, we could see maybe a increased tornado potential move down further south, and you can see that we just got a tornado watch that was just issued for central Kentucky. Again, very strong SIGTOR readings for this entire region, even more so towards the southern reaches of that 10% tornado threat. So again, we could definitely see the possibility of multiple tornadoes for this entire region. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator. Join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being, and hopefully I will be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.